Hello crafters and welcome to P2PCrafts Presents, brought to you by From Picture to Page and Beyond Papercraft shows. I'm your host, Michelle Brown, Creative Director at From Picture to Page, which is our scrapbooking, mixed media art and papercraft community. Now P2PCraft presents a whole heap of demonstrations and interviews with a range of talented retailers and artists. Now for all the details, head over to our website fromPictureToPageAndBeyond.com.au where you can see all of the replays, see who's coming up, all of the links that mentioned in our shows, and while you're there, make sure you're on our email list so you can get a summary at the end of the week with all the links as well as all the information that's coming up. Now, whether you're watching live here on Facebook or replays on YouTube or on our website, we would love to know that you're here. So pop in the comments and say hi, as I can see how many people are. And if you've got any questions for myself or Dannii, let us know and we will do our best to answer them. And it's also great to know that you're there. So today, P2P Presents Crafters Cupboard and Dannii. Hello, Dannii.
Hi, how are you going?
We're good. It's great to have you back.
Thanks for having me back.
That's good. Now, have you got any art done in the last few days?
I have. I've been very productive this week. I've been working on Art by Marlene's May challenge, May Flowers, Marlene it's called. Mm-hmm. And so I've done quite a lot of work in there, which was lots of fun. It was nice to be back at the craft desk.
Yeah, excellent. Now, last time we chatted to you, we didn't really find out how long have you been working with Crafters Cupboard?
Oh, it's probably getting on to somewhere between 5 and 7 years now.
Oh, okay.
So, and I've been working as an active teacher with them for probably about four or 5 years.
Yeah, excellent. And what's your favourite part about teaching?
I just like to mix with like-minded people. I've made a lot of friendships with the girls in my classes, which are great. And I really feel connected with them because we always have something in common with our art.
Yeah, it is really lovely how we connect with like-minded people that way, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah, and while we can't get together in shows or in person, hopefully this is the next best thing for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been great. All these classes online have been brilliant for keeping the motivation up.
Yeah, and even if you don't have exactly the same products that you see, you can always find something similar or use the colours or the composition.
Exactly, and you can find so much more in your stash that you've probably forgotten you had.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Well, I did do a masterclass on inks recently, pulled out one of my most favourite ink pads and found that the whole sponge had just disintegrated because I hadn't used it. So you have to use your craft supplies.
You do have to use your craft supplies.
You do. Excellent. Now, Dannii, what are you going to show us today?
So today we're doing a bit of ScrapFX. So I've got some ScrapFX embellishments and stencils and stamps, but we're also using one of their junk journal kits. So I'm going to show you a little flick through of a junk journal that I've done, and then we'll do a quick little page in the junk journal.
Yep, fantastic. Okay, so you get yourself ready. And isn't that a great reminder, like Dannii said, to go pull out what's in the cupboard, see what you've got available. So if you don't have exactly the same things you see in demos, what have you got in a similar product or a similar colour? And that so you know that you can, give it a go, because that's how we get better at crafting. We look at people like Dannii and Rachel Griggs and Neve and just think, oh, they're just such amazing artists. But what we find is that they got there through practice. And the only reason we're going to practice is getting out there and doing it. So it looks like Dannii is ready to show us doing some craft today. So Dannii, take it away.
Thank you. Hi guys, glad to be back again. So today I wanted to show you ScrapFX. They've got a new line which has been designed by Michelle Logan. So these are these wonderful little characters. They're quite quirky little snarky, funky folk they're called. And she's got several in these lines. I think there's about 3 designs. There's also little houses, which are really cute. And ScrapFX is an Australian company, so they have lots of different types of products that we can use, and it's always great to use an Australian company because we don't have that many around. So they've also got some transparencies. They do stamps and stencils. They've got lots of things going on. There's such a great range, and of course it can all be found at Crafters Cupboard. So what I wanted to show you today was their junk journal kits. So it comes like this, as a nice blank kit. Comes with instructions on how to put it together, so it's well written out. Just showing you how to stitch it all together and how to put your junk journals together. So it's really good for a beginner. And this is one that I've started earlier in the year. So this one's a steampunk kit. There's about 5 kits in the collection. And basically I've just used the Tim Holtz dies in this, paper dolls in this one, and just a few little dies and things just to make it up. And I'll just quickly flip through there. There's little bits of transparency in there as well. And all the pages are different sizes, which gives it a little bit more quirky interest. And they're just so much fun. This is actually a Malway, so you can just see the little bit of stuff coming through the paint there and the maps coming through, which is really fun to use different types of papers. Little tags in there. So they're really cute and just a fun way to get into junk journaling, which is quite a craze at the moment. So this is the blank one. This is a lace. So this is just an envelope. You can see the seams here. I've actually popped it together just so I could flip through it and show you how it works. We've got little die cuts out here. Bits of graph paper, more transparencies, and then it just goes through. So there's lots of different types of mediums to work on in the papers, which is a lot of fun. So what I thought today was we can use some of Michelle Logan's pieces, and we'll just put a page together, which should be a little bit of, let's pick a page. It should be fun to put together and using the different mediums on the paper. So what I'll start with is a little bit of gesso, because we're going to have to put a good base down so I can put some paint on these pages. It's a little bit noisy. And I'm just going to brush on just roughly a little bit of gesso here. I'm not really worrying about how it's painted on. I just want to get that down. Just a bit of primer for your page so that everything else sticks to it. There we go. And I'll just dry that off. So I've picked out some of Michelle Logan's little people. I'll just show you those again. I've actually fussy cut them out already. So these ones are quite cute as well, and they come with the little sayings. And so I'm just going to pick some of the colours that are already in the printed cutouts. These are sort of on a heavier card weight. So probably just work out which one fits nicely in there. We're going to go with the tall one there, and I'll just trim him off a little. So I've got a few little colours in here. I'm going to use my Paper Artsy paints again, and we'll go with slimed. So we've got that little bit of green in there. There's a pop of pink, so I might get my cerise out, and maybe the aquamarine just for that little bit of blue. It's a good start anyway. So we'll just pop him aside so that we can get a bit of paint down. Give these a really good shake. And I'm just going to use my little spatulas. These are done by Nouveau. And I'm just going to scrape some paint onto my page. So if you don't have one of these, you could use a credit card or a gift card and do the same technique. So just randomly getting some paint down. Use a little bit of the green. So this is just a fun way to get paint down quickly on your page. And it's not necessary to get all it covered. You can leave a bit of white space in there as well. Pretty happy with that. I'll just dry that off. Just going to stick a little bit of baker's paper in here just so I don't get the rest of the book covered in paint. And I like to use the ScrapFX stamps. So these are on a little bit of acetate, as you can see, and they're actually made of foam. So they're quite an unusual type of stamp if you're used to sort of your rubber stamps, but they've got such a great range and they're quite at a reasonable price. And they're really easy to use for backgrounds. So I'll show you what I mean. Just pop that back in the water. Get some ink out. I've got my little archivals here in similar colour tones as to my background. And we'll just load that up. And I find with the foam, it actually sits on top of, the ink sits on top of the foam. So you actually get a lot of generation stamping without having to re-ink again, which is actually really good for background stamping. So I'm just going to place that down. Being it's on acetate, it's quite flexible. So you can just partially stamp. And you can see how many generations of stamps I'm getting, and it's still quite bright still. Okay, and that's just a simple, you could wipe it over with your baby wipe just to clean those off. It's another little cute one with little dots. Getting all my lids in the paint. So we'll just load this one up. And just give that a dry. We're just getting a little bit of visual interest in the background with a bit of stamping now. And I've got this really cute little diamond pattern. I like that one. So I'm going to stick a little bit of that in there as well. Might go with a bit of blue. Let me just grab a different blue out. And again, load that up. I always find that stamping in groups of threes is always much better visually pleasing, or odd numbers, so threes or fives. And just stamping off the page too gives a little bit more interest. Okay, so that's starting to look pretty good, I think. And now we need a little bit of black contrast, I think. So I'm just going to grab my blacking pad. Should have had that out. And I'm going to use this numbers. So this is going to be a little bit more of a focal point. So I think I'll just load this one up first. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? It's a really nice graphic stamp, that one. Really loving that one. And I might just do a little bit of detail on the side here. Just sort of starting to think about where I'm going to put my focal piece and how I wanted it positioned on the page. So I'm just trying to create a little bit more visual interest, I think. I'm just going to layer that up. Okay, nice and easy. Now, ScrapFX also does rice paper. So I've got some gorgeous little papers here. Michelle's also designed a few rice papers with her little quirky people too, so that you could colour these ones up. These are really cute. But I thought I might use this stitching one instead of pulling out the sewing machine. And I'm just going to quickly fussy cut that out. Just taking a little bit of the excess white off so we don't get too much of a halo when we glue these down. And I think I'm just going to create a bit of stitching. So just taking out those extra white bits. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to use some matte gel medium to glue those down.
And we've got Dannii back.
Sorry, guys. So I'm just sticking this rice paper down with a bit of the matte medium. So I'm just lathering that down and just making sure I get a really good coverage there on the rice paper. So it just gives you that really cute design with the stitching. So hopefully it looks like I've got my sewing machine out. bit more hair in there. And I'll just give that a quick dry. And I really want to pop in a little bit of pink because there's a little bit of pink in this little cutout. So I'm just going to grab some of the Dannii gloss sprays, and I think I'm just going to scribble a little bit of her gloss sprays onto my background just to give that pop of pink in there as well.
Dannii, have you used the sprays very much?
I've only really just got them out and had a bit of a play. I haven't had a great deal of time with them, but I'm really enjoying them. I like that sort of glossy, which I didn't think I would. You know, we tend to go a bit with the mattes because we know it's kind of safe, but they've actually been quite fun. So we'll just give that a little bit of a dry as well. I feel like I need a bit more actually.
That's multitasking at its finest.
It was. Pretty impressed myself actually.
So, Dannii, you said it was easier to use the rice paper than get your sewing machine out. Do you do much sewing in your mixed media work?
I broke my machine just recently actually and had to take it to the mechanic to get it fixed, the sewing mechanic. I do like to bring out the sewing machine and add a bit of stitching. So I quickly grabbed this rice paper when I saw it because I'm a little bit nervous about picking up my sewing machine now. So I really did do a bit of damage apparently.
Yes. Did you have to explain to the lovely mechanic that you were perhaps not using it as it was intended?
Yeah, he thought I was a bit weird using it for paper. It was like, what? He was an older gentleman too, so he just didn't get it. But anyway, we get it, don't we?
Yes, we do.
All right, so what I'm going to do here is a little bit of doodling in the background just to pick up some of these patterns. So I'm just going to use the Posca pens. Sorry, I'll just close that lid before it dries out. So I've just got the black and the white out, and I'm just going to go over some of these areas with a Posca pen. So I've got my little circles. Oops. That one I've probably killed already. There we go. I must have found the two worst Posca pens in my kit. So this is a white Sharpie. Hopefully this one will work. Yeah, it's working much better. So I'm just going over the stamped areas with a little bit of doodling, just roughly. Just put a few lines in.
And Dannii, what size Posca pen have you got there?
So I'm using, it's a 0.7, so it's one of the finer tips. I like that for the doodling, especially when you're just sort of doing little areas, hand scribbling, all that sort of stuff. It just is fine enough to get into that little detail. So I haven't done anything too special there, just really tracing over the areas that I've stamped. And it just creates a little bit more visual interest in the background. Okay. I think I need a little bit more stamping, so I'm just going to grab that stamp again. Where'd I put it? There it is. Just want to embed that stitching in there. So I think if I do a little bit of over stamping, it will really just embed it into the background.
And that's the great thing about mixed media. If you didn't quite get the order right, you can just keep going.
You can. It's all about layers, isn't it? Don't like something, you can just cover it up. And I'm just going to put a little bit more just in this corner here as well. Okay, it's starting to look pretty good, I think. And just one more spot. It just needs a little bit up here. Perfect. All right, so put our little focal piece down. I'm going to give it a bit of a trim. Pretty happy with that placement. And I'm just going to use the gel medium again to glue that down. I'm just going to give it a good cover on the back just to make sure that it's all stuck down properly. I don't want to cover up too much of that stitching.
Dannii, do you ever find that you like your background so much that you almost don't want to cover it up?
Yes, absolutely. But Diane always says your background's your background for a purpose, so got to learn that. You know, sometimes your background isn't supposed to be the artwork, is it? It's just something that you enjoy, and then you put your focal points on top. But I do have a lot of pages that I haven't had the heart to put stuff on because I've gotten too attached to them. And so I've got all these empty pages with lovely backgrounds.
Then they must be finished.
I need to find small words or something put on them so they don't take too much away from the background. But yeah. I'm trying to work on that. I do get carried away because I really enjoy the process. It's just quite relaxing and enjoying just to stand.
Hi everyone, hopefully you're still there. We've had a slight technical difficulty at this end, but I've still got Dannii here with me and we will continue on.
We're all good?
I think we are.
Okay, so we've got our little piece glued down and I'm just going to go over with a Posca pen just on the scribbly ends just to embed it into the background and make it part of the page. So I'm just basically going over and scribbling it in.
Okay, and we're back again, and it's not Danny's fault, it's completely my fault because I didn't check the 101 things. So, okay, we're good to go.
Fabulous. If you're still here with us, I'm just going back
My
over with my
goodness.
background. No? Gone again?
No, all good, keep going.
All good?
Yep.
Oh,
I've
this
got
is
to just
funny.
keep pedaling to keep the electricity up.
All right, I've just gone in and popped a little bit of white in the eye there. Right. All right, fabulous. So we've just done a little bit of doodling in the background, and I've just put a bit of white paint in the eye there. I've just grabbed a little saying off one of Michelle's little pictures here. It just says, "Dear self, stay strong," and I think that's kind of appropriate for today. And I'm just going to cut that in two. I'm going to stick that on there. It's looking pretty good. We'll put a little bit of edging around the sides. I've just got a little bit of pink to make it pop. Awesome. And I'm just going to use a glue stick to glue that down. Just make sure I get right in the corners. It's amazing how much ink you can get on your hands just with this tiny little bit of stamping. All right.
Yep.
And then,
Dannii, just before we lost the connection. Diane was asking if you could use a glue instead of the matte medium to put the figure in.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use whatever you have in your stash. Just be aware that some glues take a little bit longer to dry. But you can definitely use glue. I use glue stick all the time. You could use, PVA glue, whatever you've got in your stash. You don't need any specialty glue, really. Now I'm just going to go over and edge my page just with a bit of black. So I've got a little bit of a makeup sponge and just go around my page. And then a little bit of posca pen once again, just around the edges. Just a nice messy line. And that's it. So that's the first page done in my junk journal. And I'm pretty happy with that. Might need to glue that down a bit better. But you can see how simple that was. Just a little bit of scrape painting and then popping down your stamps on top of your paint, a little bit of the tissue paper in there, or the rice paper should I say, and then we put our focal on a little bit of stamping over the top just to embed your piece. And that's it, nice and finished. I hope you enjoyed that.
Excellent. Okay, we'll give you a minute to get your camera turned back around. And I hope you all enjoyed that too. So wasn't it really good to see Dannii auditioning those characters at the start? So that's a great thing about cutting out your images, is that you can try it over your backgrounds. I really liked how she talked about, using scraping the paint and then also leaving that bit of white space as well, so that you've got that little bit of room to play with if you need to. So excellent. Dannii, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me once again. I really enjoyed it.
I'm more than welcome. So ScrapFX have a brilliant range of things to do with junk journals and mixed media.
They do. They have an awesome range, and just mixed media in general, like lots of stencils and stamps and papers and embellishments. So it's worth a look.
Excellent. Well, no, thank you so much for coming and playing with us today.
Thank you, Michelle.
Excellent. Thanks, Dannii. Okay. So I hope you've had a chance to catch up with us today. If not, of course, the replay will be over at our website, all put together on picture2page.com.au. And I hope you've been inspired by what Dannii's done today. And of course, pop over to the Crafters Cupboard website, crafterscupboard.com.au, to see all the products there. So this is Michelle signing off. I hope you have a crafty day.